Everyone's here. Okay, everyone, it's 6 p.m. and we have a busy evening ahead of us, so we'll call the meeting to order. Would the secretary please read the meeting notice?
The Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Erie, PA will meet in regular session on Wednesday, April 18th, 2018, in the auditorium at East Middle School, 1001 Atkins Street, at 6 p.m. by request of the President, Frank Petrunger, Jr.
Our board president, Mr. Petrunger, is unable to be with us this evening due to a death in the family. His father-in-law, Jack Schillinger, has passed away. Noting that, roll call.
Mr. Titus?
Here.
Mrs. Alexandrovich?
Here.
Mr. Cassillo?
Here.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Here.
Mrs. Feeney?
Here.
Mr. Harkins?
Here.
Mrs. McNair?
Here.
Mr. Spagel?
Here.
Mr. Petrunger?
Excused. The Pledge of Allegiance this evening will be led by Cameron Basham, a sixth grade student from Wilson Middle School. Introduced by Mr. Donald Orlando, the principal, followed by a moment of silence for Milton Simon, retired principal, who passed away on March 17th, 2018, Beverly Sugden, retired teacher, who passed away on March 23rd, 2018, Rupert Stottmiller, retired principal, coach, and stadium commission member, passed away on March 25th, 2018. Nino Bucarelli, retired teacher, who passed away on April 3rd, 2018. Thomas Torok, retired teacher, who passed away on April 3rd, 2018. Walter Kolsky, retired custodian, who passed away on April 13th, 2018. Margaret Trinetti, retired teacher, who passed away on April 13th, 2018. And Jack Schillinger, the stepfather of School Board President Frank Petrunger, Jr., who passed away on April 16th, 2018. Mr. Orlando?
Mr. Orlando couldn't be here today. I'm Courtney Laver, one of the assistant principals at Wilson Middle School. Good morning, good afternoon to Superintendent Polito, Assistant Superintendent Haversky, the entire board, and all of our friends and family. It's my honor to introduce one of our honors sixth grade students. While Cameron shows great academic promises in the classroom, she also enjoys doing things with children. She likes animals. She plans to pursue a career later on in either one of those fields. She also enjoys softball, dance, and drawing. And while she's in school, she enjoys math, reading, and writing. So, Cameron?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cameron? Chico?
See, I told you you could do it. Keep that smile going, that's the thing.
Well then, great job.
She's in a rush, huh?
This month, the board is pleased to honor the local stores of Lowe's Home Improvement for their work at Erie High School and Wilson Middle School. Lowe's was instrumental in creating new family and consumer service classrooms, science classrooms, at both schools by assisting the district with design development, demolition, material allocation, and installation. Lowe's provided professional drawings after reviewing the classroom space with district personnel, sent members of their staff to assist in the installation work, and provided the district with donations of cabinets, appliances, and other materials. The district could not have implemented the expansion of these classes so quickly during this school year without Lowe's support. We'd like to ask Mr. Chris Donahue, store manager of the Keystone Lowe's, to come to the stage and accept this recognition on behalf of both stores. Chris?
My favorite store up here. Thanks again, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we have a presentation by the Sisters of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network, represented by Ms. Heather Kaspar, Executive Director, and staff, to share information about their collaboration with Erie's public schools in addressing the PA academic standards for career education and work at McKinley Elementary School, East Middle School, and Woodrow Wilson Middle School.
Hello and thank you. My name is Heather Kasper. I'm, as you said, the Executive Director for the Sisters of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network. I'm here with Margarita Dengel, who is a site director and neighborhood manager for the network as well. And it was recommended to us that we share with you the work that we're doing, career education for students at McKinley and Wilson and also Erie High School. And so we're here to do that. I'm going to turn it over to Margarita, but first I wanted to say that I've been privileged to be a part of the strategic planning process so far, which is easily the most dynamic strategic planning process I've ever been a part of. And in those sessions, there's been a great focus on careers. And that has been really encouraging for us too, since it's something that is near and dear to us as well. I'm going to hand it over to Margarita, who's going to talk a little bit more about specific things that we do at the schools.
Hello. Why did we start this project? In 2014, we started the East Side office for the Sisters of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network, and we walked around the neighborhood and interviewed over 200 people, and people said, what we need most is job preparation. And so that sank in, and then we talked also to teachers and the principals at Woodrow Wilson Middle School in McKinley, and said, what do you need? And they said, we need help with career education. And so we encountered middle school students, and we realized that middle school students couldn't identify their interests or abilities, and they didn't have a realistic perception of what they can do and what they can't do. So that was a way in for saying, okay, the kids, really the students in the schools, need help in career education. Maybe this is our call to help and serve there. And so we love to support you in your career development. The Pennsylvania standards for career education and work are excellent. It's a wonderful framework for kids to learn from kindergarten to 12th grade what's necessary for the jobs. So what do we do? At McKinley Elementary School, we see all 500 students, kindergarten to 5th grade, And based on the academic standards, they receive 11 sessions throughout the school year. We are on the 7-day rotation in the school and teach them about career education. And one of the students at McKinley, to highlight a little bit that, is as part of the career education, we do a little play, and the students become the McDonald's manager. And the kids have to interview other kids as future employees. And a girl interviewed two people to work the grill and the fryer for hamburgers, and asked different questions about attendance, tardiness, school jobs, home chores. And so after that, she decides on candidates. And when we asked why she did not hire the one young student, she said, he is too social. He would talk too much and would get the others distracted. He needs maybe a job at Walden or other places where he can talk a lot. 5th grade student. So, so we see them at Wilson Woodrow Middle School. We are actually the longest. It's our 3rd year that we are serving there. We do a career speaker series. And each year we bring 12 to 16 professionals into the school, and they get a chance to talk to, first we did it with 8th graders, now we are down to the 7th graders, talk about their careers. And we added this year an introduction session and a closing session. So to show what the students learn in listening to the professionals, I think the biggest aha moment this year was, wow, a job can actually be something I enjoy doing. And suddenly it became clear that maybe preparing for a career and looking at my own interests may help me to have fun in my life. There's, for example, Eric, who said as part of an essay, there's not always a straight path to what you want to do. The road is always going to be bumpy. One learning from that experience. Hunter says, life is never be as good as you want if you don't work for it. 7th graders. Better grades mean better changes on achieving goals, says Michaela. And in conclusion, Rashlan says, if you want to be something, push yourself to the edge and get it done. Isn't it amazing, after just listening to 16 professionals, the response from the students? At Erie High School, we do faculty-recommended landscaping. We work with the landscaping management students in the Little Italy landscaping crew, and we also develop other real-world renovation work in Little Italy with the students, so they get hands-on experiences. So we are in all three schools in our service area. Now, why do we do that? We support the Erie School District to prepare the students for work and careers and for a challenging future. We show the students how to connect school and schoolwork with a career. We encourage them to pursue achieving better grades. We introduce how school and schoolwork is connected to personal growth. We highlight that their current performance patterns and behavior may later affect their career choices. And that's another example. A McKinley student again said, elementary student said, you know, your bad choices may have one effect in school, but maybe at work you would be fired. That says a 5th grader. And again, today I had a community service worker at my place, 50-year-olds, who left work an hour earlier than he was supposed to and then was surprised that he was fired. what happens between elementary school and us adults. So there's a lot of learning to do. So we want to help them to connect the school work, and their personal growth. To realize who they are is so essential in this journey. And we invite them to see that careers are linked to personal interests and strengths. In order to choose a career, they need to know themselves, and they have to know what they are good at. They have to know that skills develop over time. They don't fall in their lap, and they don't come if they don't work hard for it. And they can always turn weaknesses into strengths. So the outcome is, after those years, we get lots of essays. Students write essays, wonderful essays, and you have some of the quotes in your package. And the teachers give us some surveys back, and you also have a handout of some of the quotes in there. So we deliver this support program without cost to the school district. The McKinley and Wilson project exceeds $60,000 worth. The Erie High project benefits both students and the SSJ Neighborhood Network. What we hope your takeaway is that you maybe can share what we are doing with you in this endeavor, and that other nonprofits may be invited to do the same, help you to achieve the goals that you are setting forth to achieve for your students. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are ready to help you and assist you. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you for your collaboration and involvement. Next, we want to recognize students who performed extraordinarily well on the college boards while participating in middle school talent search project.
Paulette Zagorski, the District Assessment Coordinator, and it is my pleasure to present the results of the 2016-17 Middle School Talent Search. The PSAT was given to 157 7th and 8th grade students in the fall of 2016. Of those students, 105 exceeded the average scores for college-bound sophomores and were included in SAT prep classes prior to taking the college boards in June of 2017. I am pleased to announce there were 58 students who scored at or above the 50th percentile rank in evidence-based reading and writing and/or math relative to college-bound seniors. We will now honor these students who have achieved these accomplishments. Mr. Vieira, Dean of Collegiate Academy, will present the students. Mr. Cosgrove, Mrs. Crable, Mr. Hutchinson, and Mrs. Laver will be presenting the certificates. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Polito, members of the board. It's my pleasure to present to you the following students as Mrs. Zagorski just described. First is Zainab Eltanimi. Maybe they should run this. They could probably do a better job. Caleb Balzer. Emma Chow. Sarah Dimel. Alec Dennis. Nicholas Devlin. Maya Dildine. Cameron Fisher. Angelina Fletcher. Noah Franz, Roland Grandy, Isaac Hammer, Nate Hanrahan, Carly Houston, Emily Jones, Rakai Kareem, Dylan Lyons, Anna Morton, Isabella Nadzum, Aiden Northup, Alton Northup, John Pham, Olivia Pierce, Cassie Plyler, Henry Pulaski, Benjamin Sadler, Emma Schwartz, Alexander Schwartz, Benjamin Seabrook, Jacob Schaftall, Alexander Spalding, Julia Staub, Hannah Stewart, Maya Stovall, Matthew Tallhurst, Nick Watkins, Jordan Ziebert, Ryan Jovanik, Ilme Unger, we're in at Connell with Jeremiah Davis, absent. Okay. Oh, Erie, yes. Jasmine Johnson. Zachary Weibel. Grace Armit. Okay. Who?
Did you do my three for Erie? Just go ahead, I'll
Okay. Good?
start over with the young lady you just started.
I guess Strong Vincent.
With Connell.
No, there's Strong Vincent. Mr. Hutchins is right there.
You didn't say my people. You didn't do Davis?
I did.
Johnson, not yet.
Okay. We'll come back.
Okay, so you're gonna start with this
Yes.
person? Okay, I'll just stand over here.
Thank you. Grace Armit. Aurora Fuchs. Emma Matthews. Yamari Sanchez. Ellie Walsh. And now we'll go back to Erie High. Because I did them out of order. Okay, Jeremiah Davis. Jasmine Johnson. Now Zachary Weibel. And these students will be with Wilson Middle School. Ramiro Becerra. Encinia Cossack. Cameron Kubea. Briley Polchek. Poluchek. There we go.
Double night for you. Way to go. Oops. Sorry.
Thank you, and we're proud to say a number of them are at collegiate, so we're flattered for that, and we congratulate our middle schools on doing such a great job. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Now we'll recognize Stair Climber Award recipients for making improvements in their ABCs, attendance, behavior, and classroom performance. Stair Climber Awards. Mr. Nixon.
Good evening, Board. My name is Ken Nixon. I'm a coordinator of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and we're going to do our Stick to It of Stair Climber Awards for this evening. Before I get into that, I'd definitely like to commend Mr. Polito, Ms. Zabersky, and all of the school board members for, again, taking this idea and moving it to fruition. I also want to thank all of the district members that have helped out, Angela Jones, Natalie Kohler. I'd like to thank Daria Devlin for all of her support, and through the PEPS, which is the Partnership for Erie's Public Schools initiative, for supporting us with Splash Lagoon tickets tonight for our Stick to It of Stair Climber Award winners. I also want to thank all of our schools. How this award takes place is that each school votes for one student from each school that has made significant improvements in their attendance, their behavior, and or their classroom performance. So this is the second month of this initiative and this award ceremony, excuse me. The other part to this is that it supports our PA school climate survey that we do, as well as our school-wide positive behavior intervention system, which is also known as SWIBIS. So these are kind of the movements to show the district-wide support for our students, staff, and their families. So what I'd like to do is get into the awards for our individual student winners. What I'd like to do, just real quick, parents and students, as I say your name, if you'd come up, I'll shake your hand. Ms. Devlin will have a plaque that was made by our pre-engineering lab from Erie High School, and I'd definitely like to thank their administration, Ms. Mikowski, Mr. Biter, their teacher, as well as Ariana and Tobias, which are the students that do the work. And then Mrs. Devlin has also provided 3 Splash Lagoon tickets per each student winner for tonight. After you receive your award and plaque, if you'd go by and shake the hands of the school board and stop on stage, and then we'll do a picture with just the students and the school board. So family, you can wait in your seats. You can stand up and cheer if you'd like, absolutely. Once we have the picture taken with the school board, then I'm asking all of the students and their families to meet me in the lobby, and we'll line up high school to elementary, and we'll do individual family and school photos. So now, with that being said, I also like to thank our photographer, Don Marzotsky, for helping out with that as well. So it doesn't take one person. If you see that, it takes a team. It takes multiple people to be on board to do something like this, and I thank everyone for that. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get into our awards. So making improvements in attendance, behavior, and classroom performance, Erie High School senior, Michael Kraus. You good? Make sure you pause at the top of the steps. Recipient ones, make sure you pause at the top of the steps for your individual photo as well. Mr. Don. Making improvements in behavior, classroom performance, Collegiate Academy ninth grader Erica Martinez. Improving his classroom performance, East Middle School's 8th grader Javon Overton. It's all right. It's a well-made plaque, too. Well-made plaque. Making improvements in attendance, behavior, and classroom performance, Strong Vincent Middle School 8th grader Zachary Dudzinski. Making improvements in her attendance and behavior, Wilson Middle School's 8th grader Natasha Mickle. Yeah. Mickle. Thank you. Making improvements in attendance, behavior, and classroom performance, Grover Cleveland Elementary's 5th grader, Matthew Cook. Making improvements in behavior and classroom performance, Joanna Connells Elementary's 4th grader, Veronica Tinchenko. Making improvements in behavior and classroom performance, Deal Elementary School's 5th grader, Nishimwe Flora. Making improvements in classroom behavior and classroom performance, Edison Elementary's 3rd grader, Yamba Walanja. Making improvements in attendance, behavior, and classroom performance, Harding Elementary School's 5th grader, Ethan Hunt. Making improvements in behavior and classroom performance, Jefferson Elementary 4th grader, Trinity Evans. Making improvements in attendance and classroom performance, Lincoln Elementary's 5th grader, Josiah Stonewall. That's right, you go. Making improvements in attendance, behavior, and classroom performance, McKinley Elementary 3rd grader, R. Nia Williams. Making improvements in behavior and classroom performance, Perry Elementary School's 3rd grader, Messiah Plaza. And the last award recipient for tonight, making improvements in behavior and classroom performance, Piper Burley's 5th grader, Fashion McLaurin. Okay, parents, once the picture is finalized, I'll meet all the parents and students at the top of the, in the lobby, please. Thank you.
Raise your hand if you're staff. They all work for us, right? I know, right? They're here to have obligation.
Mr. Nixon undertook this program to salute efforts on the ABCs, attendance, behavior, and classroom performance. Took it from the logo that Mr. Matthew Cummings gave us a few years ago of several children enthusiastically climbing the stairs as depicted in our school district logo. So it's very nice and it's uplifting to share an evening with so much effort and success by these young people. In today's world, it's just reassuring to see so much enthusiastic success and striving for it. I should say striving and then the success. Now we'll introduce officially Ashley Spencer, the student representative to the board for April and May of this year. Ashley Spencer is a senior at Erie High School, and she is an extremely focused young lady. She assumes a leadership role in student government and has inspired others to participate in more school activities. She actively takes part in Go College, a program that inspires students to take college classes during high school, explores many colleges outside the Erie area, and offers seminars and study skills, writing techniques, and affording post-secondary options. In addition, she has been involved in the Academic Sports League, Science Club, and is well respected by her peers. Recently, she was sponsored by the women's leadership organization, Athena, to sail on the U.S. brig Niagara. She was presented with an award for her rock star performance and superior attitude. Ashley is attending Mercyhurst College this fall. Ashley is really a superb young woman, someone we are very proud to have at Erie. Hi. Ashley, do you want to say anything to?
Thank you for having me. And I'm actually going to Penn State Barron.
Whoa. Both fine institutions. Welcome, Ashley. The board met in executive session on Wednesday, April 11th, 2018, in Conference Room 3 of the Dr. James E. Barker Leadership Center, 148 West 21st Street, from 7:15 p.m. to 8:47 p.m. regarding personnel and legal matters. Next up is the report of the superintendent. Mr. Polito.
Good evening. We want to remind everyone tonight that our website is updated on a regular basis with important information. And I just want to point out two sites that are particularly relevant right now. Our newly created school safety page that's at eriesd.org/safety, and our strategic plan page, eriesd.org/strategic plan, all one word. We encourage parents to continue to check those sites and all our web pages for information. We also encourage families to follow the district's Facebook page, where we are able to post updated information on a more frequent basis. This month, we've been holding a series of community meetings in collaboration with the City of Erie. The last of these is scheduled next Tuesday, April 24th, at the JFK Center. Please plan to attend if you'd like to add your voice to our strategic plan process and learn more about Erie Refocus from Mayor Schember and his team. We also want to remind families that the kindergarten registration for next school year will begin next week. Please visit our website for information on dates and times. We'd also like to remind parents to check your child's immunizations, especially if they're entering 7th or 12th grade, because the requirements have changed and you may need to get additional shots before starting school next year. And finally, congratulations are in order. Coach Rob Matz was named the D10 6A Coach of the Year by Western PA Football. Erie High teacher Michelle Bennett received a Golden Apple Award, and Lincoln Elementary nurse Janelle Burnett received the 2018 School Nurse Excellence Award for Northwest PA. And of course, thanks to all our elementary and middle school staff and students who have been working very hard on their PSSA exams over the past 3 weeks. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for the superintendent? May we have a motion to approve and accept?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Cassillo, seconded by Mr. Spiegel. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Next up is hearing of citizens. We have one citizen who wrote in for 5 minutes of speaking time. That is Mr. William McDonald of Erie, speaking to the topic of Erie School District business. Mr. McDonald? Okay, are there any other citizens that wish to address the board this evening? If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address, sign your name, and you have 3 minutes under our guidelines. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Alan Green. I'm here to suggest putting a daycare in Erie High School with a job co-op program for students in the early childhood development shop. The daycare would be open to students with kids, students with younger siblings, and staff with younger children.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't know if the superintendent or assistant superintendent want to comment, but they'll take your suggestion under advisement, and we'll talk about it at a future committee meeting.
Good evening. Gary Horton, 2046 East 19th Street. I just had a couple questions on the agenda. 6.13, it talks about a joint stipulation to settle and discontinue in the tax assessment matter between UPMC Hammett, Erie County Board of Assessment Appeals, School District, the City of Erie, with that matter is that's being discontinued and settled. That was one question. The other question I have is on number 6.49. It says County Repository for Unsold Properties has an index number, and then it just says East 5 Street, NS, Erie, PA. Where's that location? And that, it doesn't seem like, well, I'd like to know what that is. Also under 6.56, County Repository for Unsold Properties, index numbers, and it has IND home site sub Erie, PA. Also, what is that?
Gary, as you know, we don't usually go back and forth on items like this, but we'll try to give you an answer, a concise one, if we can, out of regard for your many years of service to us up here.
No, don't do me any favors.
Well, no, but I mean, we could.
I did, that's fine.
Yeah, understand. Okay, Mr. Wachter, can you?
Mr. Horton, 6.13 is a settlement of the tax assessment appeal with Hammett Hospital that was entered into as part of negotiations with the hospital. So that is on the tax assessed value of their properties. They had filed an assessment appeal. That matter is being settled. 6.49 and 6.56, those are the identifications that are provided to the school district from the county. The specific place where they are, the East 5th Street, that is I believe that to be a vacant lot on East 5th Street, so it does not have an address that is associated with it. However, it can be identified by the property index number. If you plug that into the county's assessment system, it'll pull it up on a map and show you where it is. With respect to 6.56, the IND home site sub, I believe those are, once again, vacant parcels that are a portion of a particular subdivision. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, but I did review them. And once again, they can be identified by the property index number through the county system.
Okay, I just think it's important that we know what they are without having to do that. It should be stated. And if you're going to vote on that, we ought to know what they are. I would have a particular concern about the East 5th one because of the activity in the 5th Street area, in the downtown area. And it just seems odd that property down there would go in a repository sale. That just raised a red flag to me where it is. And the other thing is, where did we find the settlement agreement? Where can we find out what it really was? Has it been reported in the paper?
Gary, if you want clarification on any of this, contact Angela or go ahead.
I will note to you, Mr. Harkins, excuse me, yes, Mr. Harkins, this information is all available under the public content portion of our agenda, which is available on the website. Specifically with each one of these parcels, as the board members would know after reviewing the agenda, there's a package under the county repository sales that a document that is associated with each one of these that does provide all the county data related to the location, the taxes that are available, as well as pictures of the property, and that copies of the, I just want to make sure that this is an accurate statement, under 4.13, I do believe that the actual copy of the stipulation is attached to the public content of the agenda as well.
So I can find it on the website?
Yes. Yes, sir. It is attached to the public content as well. All that information is there.
Thank you very much. I just saw it on the agenda. I was invited here by one of the students that was recognized this evening. I'd like to congratulate them and you for doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Are there any other citizens who wish to speak this evening?
Good evening. My name is Crystal Lepak, and I am the Youth Service Program Coordinator for Youth Leadership Institute of Erie. And once again, April being Service Month, we are holding our Global Youth Service Day here at East Middle School this Saturday, and registration starts at 8 o'clock. We have a few project ideas or project areas that are going to be tackled. The kids are looking at environmental issues as well as gardening and children and youth special needs and hunger and homelessness, in such that they have decided to put a lot of time and energy into planning a kickball tournament to be held this Saturday from 9:30 to 12:30 at the Wallace, actually it's Amendola Park, Tom Amendola Park on 2nd and Wallace. And that is going to be from 9:30 to 12:30. The kids are going to play in conjunction, and we invite all of you to come either officiate or play with the kids. We've invited city and county councils too, and other members of our wonderful city to play and kick out hunger, in that they will have $1 and a non-perishable food item that is to be donated to a local food pantry when they are said and done with the SALT team. And the SALT team, which is our student ambassador leadership team, they will be leading the charge with the kickball game and the other projects that have been planned as well. We have a community garden on 11th and Wallace. We have got AmeriCorps volunteers coming on board and going to get that all ready up for next month's planting. It's going to be pretty cold, so we're obviously not going to be planting anything this month, but next month is the plan for doing that, and everything for the garden has been donated by Stan's Garden Center to for all the plants themselves, and then Garrelix has donated all the soil along with Value Home Center. So our community has really come through for these kids time and time again every year. And right now they're not with me because it's a school night and they have PASA tests, and everybody else is just all scurrying around for Global Youth Service Day, so I'm giving them a break tonight. But they are relentless because they have to keep after my schedule. But I want to thank you for your support. Honestly, these are your students. These are the kids that you are all representing. And they are truly amazing. And oftentimes they don't get enough notice or recognition for the good stuff that they do because we hear so much negative in the media. And these kids are bombarded with a bunch of just negative every single day, in and day out, and they go into school, and the most horrid conditions could be at home, and they go to school because that's their place of safety where they go, and they represent very well. So be proud of them, because they're going to be your future leaders, and you'll have to pretty much answer to them, because it seems like when we get older, our kids take care of us or something. But thank you again for your support. And I have flyers and then the brochures too. I'd like to pass them out if that's all right.
Sure.
That'll be okay? Okay. I'll give them to Krista. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
Are there any other citizens who wish to address the board this evening? If not, report of the committees is the next item on our agenda. Any committee reports? If there aren't any, I'd like to take a few minutes to make a few remarks about some of the individuals that we honored with our moment of silence this evening. I did not want to take away from the introduction of the student who led us in the pledge this evening. It was not the best time to do it, but with your indulgence, I'd just like to make a few remarks on the record about a few of these individuals. Anybody who lives in Erie long enough knows that wintertime, February and March, brings a lot of health problems to the elderly and the people who are not, their health isn't strong. And so we lost a lot of good former employees in this list, and several of them are most noteworthy. Not that any one of them isn't as important as the other, but some of them span many decades of service, multiple roles in the community, and I just feel compelled to make a few remarks. Mr. Casillo and I were commenting to each other as we walked down the hall to the meeting about Jack Schillinger, who's on the list because he's the father-in-law or the stepfather of our board president, but he was a long-time executive at Mutual Savings and Loan and served on many community boards, and he was a solid citizen. He deserves a thank you, and we've honored him tonight. Milton Simon was a highly regarded math teacher and went on to be an elementary school principal who was well regarded, well appreciated. Three people in particular that I just want to highlight. Rupert Stottmiller served as a teacher in the district, a coach, and went on to become a principal. He was JV basketball coach at Tech Memorial, and he influenced the lives of many young people. what I want to say about him and all of these people, the next three for sure, is that they were always on the clock. They never stuck to the job description. They were always over and above and beyond, and 24 hours a day were trying to help and succeeding in helping our young people. Mr. Stottmiller has influenced the lives of many people, and since his passing, I've heard many remarks of appreciation for him and how he'll be missed, but always appreciated for keeping kids in school through basketball, drawing them in that way, gaining their respect as an administrator and a good teacher. And he went on to care about the school district and be involved beyond his retirement. Peg Trinetti was a well-respected, highly regarded teacher at Twin Tech Memorial, and she was the grievance committee chairman for the EEA, and she went on to be the president of the local chapter of the EEA, and she held state office in the PSEA. She was a stalwart for her, advocate for her teaching profession and her members, very consistent. In the years when she was in those roles, aside from being liked and respected by her students, there was a more adversarial climate between the EEA and the board, and there were wrinkles to be worked out when collective bargaining became a reality here, and there was some conflict, but she was always an effective, strong, and respectful advocate for her side. And aside from that, she could always be found at the stadium on Saturday nights during a football game, and she knew every one of the players, and she had football smarts, and she'd be suggesting what play they might run or what defense they might run because she was always in contact with the coaching staff, and she had a football acumen, and she knew all of the kids in the stands and everything about them. So that extraordinary care and concern that these people had is what I want to draw attention to. We highlight these people because we honor them for having been with us and then departed, and so many of them gave us extraordinary service and inspiration, and it's worth mentioning because they're gone, but the people who have worked with them, their peers, can draw from their example, and they do. And I asked myself in the last few days, do other school districts value and appreciate their employees? Is there something special about these people? And I really think there is. I think the conflicts, the struggles, the complication of an urban school district and our culture here, it just created and brought to the surface a lot of extraordinary effort and accomplishment and a lot of good people that maybe wouldn't have been as successful elsewhere and wouldn't have accomplished so much as they did here. The other one I want to highlight is Thomas Torok. I got an email from a retired teacher about him, and I saw him at the funeral home, and he sent me this email, and won't read the whole thing, but I'll read the pertinent parts. This is from a retired teacher. There was a topic now that you probably knew about this gentleman's exploits. I was deeply saddened about the passing of an Erie School District icon, Tommy Torok. When it came to being a staunch backer and defender of the Erie School District, no one was better. TT was an outstanding athlete at Academy High School. He coached football in the Erie School District at Tech Memorial under Paul Petriani. TT was a respected teacher and beloved by his students. TT went above and beyond for his kids. My father was a friend of TT. He would always tell me how good and how much TT did for his kids. I kiddingly reminded him that I too was a teacher and worked with learning disabled kids at East, but he was correct that TT was one of the best. TT was an ardent backer of Erie sports. Even in retirement, TT was there to announce or keep clock for the Central High basketball teams. If he was needed to come down to East High to announce a game, he would. TT was at his best as the announcer for Erie School District football games at the stadium. His baritone voice was as smooth as Vin Scully's. TT pulled no punches in his love for the Erie School District. He wasn't fake news when it came to this. He would casually, without being confrontational, question employees' loyalty who would send their children to private schools, root for prep or coach for a private school. And since I coached a parochial league basketball team, I was guilty, but he was right. TT once said he would never work in a charter school. The Erie School District lost a bigger-than-life personality and one of its most loyal defenders, and he will be missed. Tommy was an Academy Lion, a Central High Falcon, a Tech Centaur, sometimes an East High Warrior, and an SV Colonel. And finally, an Erie High Royal. If it was an Erie School District team, he was one of them with no apologies. I know TT will be given props at the next school board meeting, but feel free to use the contents of this email to convey the kind of person TT was for the Erie School District. We lost a great one. He followed it up with another email, and it said, "How could I forget that TT was one of the voices of high school baseball at Ainsworth? Thing was, everyone was welcome to visit the press box when he was up there." It was another thing TT did. In addition to these remarks from one of his peers, I just want to say this TT had a remarkable special gift for special needs students. He could walk into a room with dozens of people and make them happy and jolly, and he enjoyed making people enjoy life. But when it came to special needs students, he related with patience, and they loved him. There was just something magical about him. So I wanted to highlight these people since we had a few minutes. It's a little bit out of the ordinary to do it under these committee reports, but as I said, we lost a significant number of people this month, and they were all stars. So I'll stop on that and ask if anyone else has any other committee reports or any reaction.
John?
Tom?
I only knew two of those folks. One was Mr. Buccarelli. He was my Spanish teacher, and I think he knew like 5 or 6 different languages, and he was very, very friendly. He just loved the gift of language, so I always respected him. But even more than that, I respected Mr. Stadmiller's arm, because he paddled me so often back in high school when he was my principal. And he was a strong man. And we respected him for a lot of things, but we feared him as well. But and then I knew him as an adult later in life, and he was just a great guy, and he will certainly be missed. So.
It's worth it to carry on for and because of these people and point to them, and that's what we do, and I think it's, they're gone but not forgotten. Okay, is there a motion to accept the committee reports?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Cassillo, seconded by Mr. Spiegel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. There is no unfinished business. May we have a motion to approve the school district new business and the supplemental new business?
Mr. President,
Mr. Cassillo.
I'd like to make a motion. We approve item 6.001 through 6.59 in new business, and item 7.02 in supplemental new business, and I would like to see us separate 7.01 for discussion regarding the voucher.
Can we just, without separating it, pause and discuss it before we vote on the entire thing so that we don't create a...
Okay, we may.
Yeah, we'll just pause once the motion is seconded and we are in discussion. We'll pause long enough to discuss it, Bob.
That's great. All
okay,
right.
So the motion by Mr. Cassillo, is there a second? Mr. Spiegel, second. Okay, discussion on any item in the school district new business or supplemental. Mr. Cassillo?
I'd like to defer to Mrs. Feeney regarding the resolution opposing the ESA voucher Senate Bill 2. Darlene, do you want to talk a little bit about that, please?
Thank you, Bob. I think it's very important that we recognize this bill has been in committee for a while. We're anticipating the possibility of it coming out of committee. And school districts throughout Pennsylvania have come together to say that anytime we take money, such as vouchers, away from public schools to subsidize private schools, we're hurting our children. And so knowing that vouchers are not a proven strategy to enhance educational outcomes, I think it's important that we as a board collectively say that we are against this legislation.
Anyone else?
Mr. President.
Mr. Casillo? Oh,
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fabrizi. I'm
No
sorry.
problem. No, I just want to reiterate that I support this 100%, and I want to thank Mrs. Feeney for bringing it to our attention and moving forward. I think that it is something that we need to stand up against. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this or any other item in the new business?
Mr. President, I also just wanted to go on and say that I absolutely think it is critical that we come out as a board in support of not supporting this bill. I think it's incredibly detrimental to public education, and I think we need to take a very public stance that we are not in support of it as well. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Has there been any updates on where it's at in the Senate? Has it been called to vote? Is it just strictly in a proposed posture at this point?
I believe that it's still in committee at this point, but they're expecting it to come out any day now for a vote.
So we need to contact the senators to voice our opposition. Thank you. Thank you, Darlene.
Any other discussion on this or any other item in the new business? Roll call.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Casillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Yes. Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
Next up is the approval of minutes for the meeting of March 14th, 2018, as attached electronically to our agenda. May we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Casillo,
Second?
seconded by Mrs. Feeney. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the bills and payrolls. May we have a motion to pay them? Moved by Mr. Spiegel. Seconded by Mrs. Alexandrowitz. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Casillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Yes. Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
The report of the secretary. May we have a motion to approve the report of the secretary?
I move that we accept the report.
Moved by Mr. Casillo. Seconded by Mr. Spiegel. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Casillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mrs. McNair? Yes. Mr. Spiegel?
Yes.
There are no bids to award this evening, so is there any other item which any director would like to bring up at this time? Mr. Spiegel.
I kind of spoke with superintendent, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I don't know how we would do this. I would like to see, when we have the big crowd, when everybody's here, if we could have the report of the superintendent prior to everybody leaving. Because what he says really is kind of a synopsis of most important things going on. And I know it goes out to the station, channel number 8, but to have all those people there, and then everybody that's left over, you guys already know what's going on anyway. So I would like your voice to be heard more. So if we could just change that around in the agenda a little bit, is that something that we can do?
We could do that, Tom, by vote, but I'll remind you, a few years ago, very recently, in fact, this was way further down on the agenda, and for the exact same reason, we moved it up to the second spot. It's just that this evening we had such a long list of honorees to acknowledge, and so when they come, we can't make them stay beyond their desire to stay, but it's already been moved up to the second spot, but certainly it can be done. But we,
And I would say that Mr. Polito's reports are typically a lot more succinct than his predecessor. So I think that maybe wouldn't be as time-consuming.
I can work on that if you'd like.
Well, it certainly can be done, but as I said, it was moved up from much further. I think it was the number 6th item on the agenda for a long time, until Jay's last few months with us. And it was moved up to them for that reason, because a lot of the times the hearing of citizens had a lot of things on their mind, and he had information that he thought may reassure some of them that it wasn't. So Robbie.
I just have a question, and it'd be for you or for the solicitor, but I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that the agendas, aren't those set by the president? Isn't that part of when you become a president, that you set the agenda?
Board
and that's
rules.
when that was changed before?
It's a board rule to declare what the agenda is and its order. When we vote every December, we approve board rules, and that's one of the rules that this will be the agenda. So by board vote, we changed that a few years ago.
So if you wanted to change that, then you would put in a resolution to make that change, and then we would vote on it at that time. So that's good. Okay.
And so it can be done that way. Is that correct, Mr. Wachter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Just one more thing, Mr. President.
Mr. Fabrizi.
Really quickly, a longtime employee, Jack Fetzner, who's a good friend of mine, has been hospitalized. He's doing fine. I talked to him today, but he said, as he was sitting, he says, you know, that the TV in the hospital carries the board meetings that he'd be watching, so I just wanted to let him know that we're all wishing you well, Jack. All right.
We all join you in that, Bobby. Hi, Jack. Anyone else? Any other item?
Mr. President?
Mr. Casillo.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Moved by Ms. Casillo to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Feeney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We adjourn. Thank you.